Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Baker, and thank you for joining me and stopping in to check out this little video on action research. So, as you likely know from reading the first chapter of our textbook and from your previous work in your degree program at Ottawa, action research is teacher-driven, educator-driven research that's done technically in your own backyard. So you're able to work in the educational setting that you currently exist in and solve a real problem that's something that you face either in the classroom or in whatever facet of education you find yourself in at the moment. So what I'd love for you to do this week is really think about a problem that is tangible, something that's troubling you, and something that you would love to see an improvement in terms of classroom performance, classroom management. The options are endless. So I want you to really dig deep and think about something that you can accomplish in a relatively short amount of time. Because we only have 8 weeks together, it's vital to your success in this course that you pick a project that is small enough to implement it, but interesting enough to keep your attention over the next 8 weeks. So I thought I might start by giving you a couple of brief examples of ideas for action research that could be accomplished quickly. Um, I'm not currently in the K-12 classroom as I'm in higher education, but something that I can think of that would benefit my own practice would be something like this. Engagement in online courses can sometimes be challenging. Would my students respond better to my assignments and my general course structure if I were to add a weekly optional Zoom meeting? So I might survey my students about their engagement at the second week of our course by sending out a very short survey. And then that would count as my pre-test or kind of my initial benchmark for student engagement. And then I might offer 3 weeks of consecutive optional Zoom meetings. And in the fifth week, after those three test weeks culminated, I would send out an engagement survey again. And then I would take a look at my pre and post assessment survey results, if you will, and see if engagement changed over the course of those 3 weeks. And then would that be enough to say that it was the Zoom meeting itself that changed engagement? If those numbers did change, that remains to be seen. I have a lot of other variables to consider, but just off the top of my head, that's one quick idea. Something for maybe an elementary school student. If you're noticing that your students are struggling, like let's say your kindergartners are having a hard time with their sight words, you could maybe try a new instructional strategy and see if that makes a difference in their sight words. And the instructional strategy would need to be small enough and concise enough that you could do it over the course of, 2 weeks possibly, and then do some kind of follow-up testing to see if the change in your instruction made a difference in sight word recognition. These are just examples. You could also observe behavior in your own classroom or in whatever field you happen to be working in. If you notice that students are falling asleep in your class, you might have a tally sheet where at 1 o'clock you take a quick scan around the room and you mark the number of students who are disengaged or dozing off. And then you might walk around the room and do that same thing at 2 o'clock and again at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then see if there is a particular time in the day when the students seem to have the hardest time focusing, paying attention, or staying awake. Now, you're not changing anything about your teaching, and you're not necessarily solving the problem of disengagement or sleepy students, but it would be worthy of researching. Is there a specific part of the day that's harder for your students to stay awake or stay engaged? And then you would know that your action research could lead you to some kind of result that said, okay, well, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my students seem to be the most tired or the most disengaged. And at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's a really good time for me to shake things up or do something different. So again, action research isn't going to solve all the world's problems, and it's certainly not going to in the span of 8 weeks, but I am really hoping that you can make a small change and hopefully measure some great new outcomes at the culmination of our course. So in week one, you are going to really hit the ground running in terms of determining your project. What problem would you like to solve? How are you going to carry out a small scale study and lay out the basics for us in the class. So I hope you enjoy, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.